you have mentioned on the Health Optimization Summit that stress influences our hormone levels. So, influences women and men in a different way. So could you just shed some light on that?
Yeah, I'll shed light on that. And it's very significant to the important differences between men and women I focus on. And let me preface it by saying there are traditional stereotypes about men and women, and I don't talk about those. I'm not into stereotypes about men and women. I'm looking at, right now, I'm focusing primarily on the biological, unrefutable, factual distinctions between having a penis and having a vagina that can make a baby or deliver a baby, and a penis that can plant a seed. I mean, everything, you know, our body is designed. The most important thing evolutionary-wise is to make babies, so the whole thing goes on. A whole part of our brain that affects everything, doesn't have to control, but it affects us, and we can now use it or not use it. We can resist it, we can go against it. So here's this is simple formula. We look at men's testosterone tests. We see that compared to women, men need to make at least 10 to 50 times more testosterone than women. Even 10 times more is a huge amount. Imagine somebody 10 times bigger than you.
Yes,
some men need to make 50 times more testosterone in order to feel well-being. If they don't make enough testosterone due to their behaviors, due to their thinking, due to their relationships, these are the things that stimulate testosterone. Let's say I sit in a room and do nothing, my testosterone will go down. Let's say I do a job and I don't get paid very much, my testosterone will get down. Let's say I'm married to a woman who thinks I'm a real jerk and she can't trust me at all. Coming home, even if I'm a successful millionaire, coming home, my testosterone will go down. Because here's somebody my heart's open to, I give them influence over me, and they don't appreciate me. They don't see what a wonderful guy I am. My testosterone will go down. So when men's testosterone goes down due to his behaviors, his actions, his thinking, what he does and accomplishes, and how the world treats him, all these things go into production of testosterone. If it goes down, he becomes depressed. Any depressed man has low testosterone. And here's the flip side. He's irritable. He can be grumpy. He can be passive. And always, any addictive person has low testosterone. You get this. This is like amazing. Everything with a man. And also anger. See, this is the mind blower for everybody. Whenever a man's angry, they always, oh, high testosterone man. No, he is high estrogen and testosterone going down. Emotions is estrogen. Whenever you have emotions, you're in estrogen land. And if you talk about your emotions or yell your emotions, like we talked about before, your estrogen levels go higher and higher and higher. Now for women, when a man is feeling stress, that's another hormone, cortisol. Okay, prior to cortisol going up to higher levels, first we have adrenaline. Okay, adrenaline is basically, we start to feel danger. Okay, I need to focus here. I'm driving my car 120 miles an hour on the Autobahn. Okay, adrenaline gets produced. Okay, so now only if I don't know how to drive, cortisol gets produced. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so adrenaline is dangerous in front of me. I have to stay focused and solve this problem. I've got a good car. I know how to do it. I'm on the Autobahn. I'm not going to get a ticket. So I'm safe, and yet I'm also in danger. That produces adrenaline. Now, the next level is if I lose my confidence and I feel like, uh-oh, I'm not good enough for this. I don't know what to do. Or my car might slide off the road, or there might be deers coming out, or I might get a ticket because I'm not on an Autobahn. So that's something I can't control. When I start to feel I'm not in control, then my testosterone at a high level, it goes up when you have adrenaline. Testosterone goes up to face the conflict. If I lose control and I don't know what to do, or if what I'm doing isn't working and I don't know what else to do, if I'm a man, my testosterone now turns into estrogen. I get angry or afraid. Sorry.
Don't worry, John.
So the irony is whenever a man is angry, he's always afraid. Now just let me help you with this one. This is just basic 101 and emotional intelligence. And it is, if I say to an angry man, oh, you're just afraid, Well, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Oh, well, if you're not afraid, what's the big deal? Who cares? Somebody shot you in the finger. So big deal. You're afraid that maybe people think less of you. I think great of myself. I got great self-esteem. Well, why are you pumping yourself up then?
So it's like
always
a defensive move straight away.
Yeah. We're afraid. We're afraid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's estrogen. Estrogen levels are going up high. And this is danger zone for men, because when estrogen levels go high in a man, also simultaneously, see, he's in danger, adrenaline. Now he loses control. As he loses control, cortisol levels come up. And cortisol activates our conditioning, and even more so our instinctive conditioning. So we have parental conditioning, and then we have instinctive conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Instinctive conditioning happens when we're out of control. Then we revert back to being monkeys completely. If we're in adrenaline, we revert back to our training. So it's like if you're a pilot, you have so many hours of training. So when you're in danger, that you have automatic reactions that take place. You're not going to be so creative, but you have automatic reactions. Mm-hmm. So unless you have really good training and you feel like a martial art master.
The reaction, actually.
Because you
don't need to think about what to do. You are just doing it then.
That's right. You're automatic. It's automatic. Mm-hmm. And people, whenever men are feeling these stress reactions, to a certain extent, they're just reacting. They're not questioning how can I think a new thought? How can I feel something differently? What different thing can I do since what I did just didn't work? Mm-hmm. And that's why Mars Venus is so helpful, because, men will be listening to a woman and we want to interrupt and say, no, you shouldn't feel that way. And then I tell men, no, just listen. And now you have something you can do, and now you know it's going to work. And as long as you're confident, you know what you're dealing with and you know how to do it. That's why training is so important. Then what happens is your cortisol levels don't go up and you don't get angry. Mm-hmm. But if you get angry, which is the worst thing that can happen, no, not the worst thing. When you get angry while you're with your wife or your girlfriend or your children, whatever, that's natural. That means you don't know what you're doing. You're out of control. Your conditioning is coming in. You're becoming like a monkey. What you need to do at that time is to know, I need to stop talking. If I talk, it only goes further into estrogen land. If you have emotion, if you're emotional and you talk, then you have more estrogen. And what you need is more testosterone so that blood can flow back to the front part of your brain. Mm-hmm. Now, the flip side of this is women. So when men are stressed, what they'll tend to do, when cortisol levels increase, their emotionality will increase. And for some men, if they have training where they don't want to be angry at somebody, they don't want to hurt anybody, they've never seen aggression, they don't have that conditioning, then what they'll do is they'll go into their fear reaction and they'll disconnect from all their emotions. And that actually is to protect the woman. That's the best thing that can happen in a relationship, is if a man starts to feel upset with her, to take a time out and walk away, And then what you do when you walk away is you disconnect temporarily from your emotions. And then you reflect after you disconnect from your emotions, you do something that makes you feel good, that's testosterone producing. And then when you feel good, then you take time to reflect on the conversation that's triggered you. And as you reflect on the conversation,
you see it from a different point of view then.
You see it with your heart open, because your hormones went back into balance. You cannot go to a higher level of intelligence when your heart is closed. You have to be in hormonal balance. You have to be in the flow state to change. You see, when you have a different thinking, a different awareness, a different understanding, because now you're reflecting with your heart open, now you can create a change. And it's only that shift of looking at it. Now I'm going to look at it differently. Now here's some extra tips for men. When you're in that quiet state, your heart's open, still give yourself permission to say, okay, what just happened and what didn't happen? So you get objective. Testosterone is very objective. Estrogen is very subjective. Mm-hmm. So you get into your objective self, what happened, and then you go into what didn't happen. Now that takes analysis. Analysis is even more testosterone producing than objectivity. So now you're analyzing, okay, what didn't happen? Now the instinct is at that point, because you're still not totally in balance. Your instinct then is to think, what did she do wrong? Okay, so you did, or what did that person do wrong? Then you say, okay, what didn't happen? And you say, okay, what they didn't do, what they didn't do, what they didn't do, and listen to that part of your brain. Then ask yourself, what did I not do? What did I not do?
So we look at the other side as well.
Yeah, see the other side. So don't go to her and tell her what she didn't do. Just think it. So you're looking at the other side. Be fair to yourself, and then look at your side. And when you look at your side, you look at, okay, what I didn't do, what I didn't do, what I didn't. Then you immediately start feeling more masculine, more balanced, because masculinity is also the part of both men and women. Women have a male side, men have a male side. Masculinity, the male side, is accountability, is victory, hero. Okay, now you go into, okay, what did I not do? Then you go into, well, what should I do? Okay, so what should I do? And you've now learned from me that if you go and blame your partner, you just did something stupid.
That's a losing game then.
So now you self-correct. So that's self-reflection to get to the place of self-correction. And now you are a more evolved human being, and you go back to your partner with greater awareness of how you made a mistake and what you can do differently. And part of how you can come back to your partner is not to go back and have a big conversation about what you did wrong. Too fragile, because then she could just go, yeah, you did wrong. No, just come back and be loving. I suggest for women, whenever they have an argument where a man pulls away, it's like a bruise, okay? And so when you want to just come back and be loving, she's bruised too. If a man gets angry, women go, oh, that's stress for them, because that's danger. So let's talk about stress reactions for women real quickly. I got into practical techniques, but my book, Beyond Mars and Venus, is pages and pages of these practical techniques. And I hope to come to Germany and also teach some of these ideas. It will be really wonderful too.
Where are you going to? Which city in Germany?
I've been invited, but I don't know yet. I haven't come in years. I've been before, but many, many years ago when Men Are From Mars was so popular. These days I go to Russia, Middle East, I go to China a lot, and of course America and Canada and Mexico.
Did you visit Poland by any chance? Did you visit Poland by any chance?
I have never been to Poland, and I have so many people I know from Poland who love my work. It seems like Polish.
Come down there one day, John.
Okay.
You need to change Polish men and women. That's your mission.
I have a big connection because my wife, her origin is Polish. Okay, so so she has that in the family, all in that area. So anyway, coming back to where was I? So much. You've got me going all over the place.
Estrogen and women.
Okay, so we're looking at stress. So stress reactions. So under moderate stress, men will tend to detach in order to become less emotional, so their testosterone levels will come back up. Under big stress, where a man loses control, then he becomes emotional. His testosterone levels will go to the female side. And now he becomes weak. So men who are too emotional are weak. They're unproductive. They're vulnerable to addiction. They can't maintain erection. They can't sustain attraction. It's a sad story for those guys. And that's what's happening around the world is men have been demonized. And so we grow up as boys not feeling like we're the heroes that we are. And clearly not all men are heroes, but so many of us are the guys who go out and work the, sacrifice, take cheap jobs, do dangerous work, join the army, all these crazy things we do for get women to love us. Okay. So we're good guys over there, not perfect. Women are good, not perfect, both sides. So we have to see the equality here. There's no, women want equality. Realize we're all equally like suffering in this world, and we need to get to a higher level of victory. So for women under moderate stress, what they do is they become more emotional. That's a first reaction women have. They measure it in the brain. I'm getting brain science here for a moment, which is blood flow increases to the emotional part of the brain when a woman's under moderate stress. For a man, he detaches. Less blood flow goes to that part of the brain. And literally, it'll be 8 times more blood flow will go to her emotional brain when a woman experiences moderate stress. Then
so we basically work completely opposite.
Yes, we are complements. We reflect each other. Now, to a certain extent, now I'm a balanced human being to a great extent. I've got both. Both are going on inside of me. and I embrace both sides. But if I'm stressed, I need to pull away, take my time, rebuild my testosterone, reflect, and I need to temporarily forget my problems. See, women think, oh, that's denial. No, that's what Buddha taught. That's what meditation is. It's forget all your problems. That's what we learn to meditate for.
Exactly.
And ironically,
get a distance from yourself and your thoughts, so you can see them clearly, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and to forget, you have to forget all your problems as well, to distract yourself from that which is troubling you. You have to leave whatever's troubling you. And meditation, by emptying the mind and focusing, big, huge testosterone rebuilding. In my book, Men Are From Mars, not every man's going to read that about meditation, but I just explained the same similar thing happens when men take cave time. Men need time to pull away. Just give me some time to be on my own. And women have thanked me so much for that information, because when a man would pull away, they would always think, oh, he's mad at me, he doesn't love me,
exactly.
Our relationship's going down. And so when he comes out of the cave, she's mad at him. And then he goes back in the cave. So it's so many cool ideas in Men Are From Mars. And even here's another, when you talk hormones, here's another one. Men, when their testosterone goes really high, you're feeling good about yourself. Now your estrogen can go higher automatically. So now you start the ability to love increases. And so what happens is now you want to make more love through sex. So men experience this desire to get inside of the woman. What is that? What's happening there? He's wanting to go to his female side, but you have to feel good about yourself. Now you have sex, you're close, and now he's one with her. When he feels one with her, at the time of orgasm for men, the testosterone goes to the highest level he can go, and then his estrogen shoots up higher. That's the ejaculation. That's why I teach men, learn, and this is takes time, how to have orgasms without ejaculating. If you don't ejaculate, then your estrogen levels don't go too high to push your testosterone down. And so when men get really close to women, estrogen levels, and they love their partners, and we spend all this time together, estrogen levels get higher and higher. That will lower testosterone. So then what does he need to do? He feels this need to pull away, to detach, come into his own world, separate, and that will rebuild his testosterone, and then he wants to come back to her. And that's called the rubber band theory, and Men Are From Mars, explained hormonally. And it was actually the first time I began to really understand the power of understanding hormones is somebody was asking me, well, what's going on in the body when men do this rubber band thing? Because what I observed is that when I would get close to my wife, then I want to pull away. But if she didn't come after me or judge me or make me feel bad, then I'd spring back and then I'd want to pull away. And it's like a dance, getting close, pulling back. And then I saw the biology of it and wrote it in Men Are From Mars. It's so important for men to be able to have that time to pull away, just as it's so important for women to connect more emotionally. See, men are disconnecting from the emotions. Women need to connect more emotionally. And keep in mind, when I say emotionally, I mean non-rational. Emotions and rationality are two ends of a polarity.
Yes.
And if a woman is way on the rational side, she needs to go to find balance all the way to the non-rational side. And then she can swing back into balance. And then her emotions are rational. And a rational emotion is a positive emotion. It's a loving emotion. Okay, an irrational emotion. So what I'm saying is so politically incorrect. All negative emotions are irrational to various degrees. All. And part of the reason you want to share with somebody and be heard is so you can self-reflect on that emotion, and your brain will immediately go, oh, well, that emotion is based upon a painful thought. Why would I continue writing a painful script for myself? Let's see if there's another script.
Because I was actually thinking about what you wrote down in a book, and it came out in my mind that women need a mirror.
Women need what?
Need a mirror in front of them, so they can see their own thoughts. So that's why they need the other person, so they can actually see themselves and understand the emotions.
The most powerful thing is when somebody sees us, it's like a reflection. We get to see ourselves through their eyes. And if their eyes are empathetic and compassionate, then we can see ourselves with empathy and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
But if their eyes are like, you're wrong, you shouldn't feel that, that's irrational, that's overreacting, that's stupid, why are you doing that? Then she can't see who she truly is. She has to defend, because what she's getting is a non-loving message. We all deserve love, we're worthy of love, and we need to get love. And when we don't get a loving message, we protect ourselves from letting that person have influence on us. And so what happens is women on a practical level lose interest in sex. See, sex for a woman is letting someone fully influence her, giving up control and letting a man take her to higher levels of being out of control, getting out of her mind, allowing herself just to receive and respond, to feel her need, to feel one with someone, to be penetrated by someone. And we men, we're so vulnerable. It's our need to penetrate, to become one. So it's like we're so opposite. She needs to have somebody enter her and fuse with her. He needs to fuse, go in there and get a smile. You know, that's what our whole life's based on, is I'm going out into the world and getting a big smile. And there's no bigger smile than a multi-orgasmic woman. Not that that's the only thing that can make you happy in life, okay?
Yes,
I'm talking about superhuman here, all right?
Yeah.
But we need to know there's more, and that's why I share there's more.
So is it a good idea to actually dig deeper when you are having a conversation with your partner? Is it a good idea to ask the question, what do you mean by saying that?
Oh, so wonderful to do that. That's my favorite phrase, variation of yours is, so help me understand that better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if you say, what do you mean? It can sound a little like a rhetorical question. Like somebody says, hey, go put that there. What do you mean? Do that.
Yeah,
but if you say, help me, that's a nicer phrase. Mm-hmm. And you really, the whole thing is to come to a place of curiosity. If you're not feeling connection with somebody, if you're a little stressed or you want to change them, you're not happy what they're saying, some tension, any slight bit of tension means now you're going to try to change them. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what you want to do is at least know that you have an option, curiosity. Curiosity is, okay, help me understand that better. And then interest is, tell me more. And then magnanimous is, what else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Escalation.
And I'm saying basically this is things men need to learn. Women can do some of it. But in a relationship between gender, men and women, because of the world situation we're in now, because of the higher consciousness we have, the tendency when people are stressed is women are too far into their testosterone world and men are too far into their estrogen world. Mm-hmm. Because when women are under stress, if they can increase their estrogen, generally at those times, her stress level will go down. So talking increases estrogen. So if she feels she's talking and somebody's hearing her, because talking is, I need to be heard and I feel safe. It's safety that allows the estrogen to go up if she continues to talk. Now, biologically, the situation that creates estrogen is when women feel, I need you. And when they're, you know, if you're hungry and you go to somebody for food, your estrogen's going to go up. That's why women will often go to doctors way more than men, because they get a bonus feeling good just knowing I've got a doctor who cares about me. I can go ask for advice and I can go get help. Generally speaking, women will buy way more self-help books, you know, and they like to, you know, listen to other people, give them ideas or whatever. Men do too. We have a female side, but men sort of want to do it ourselves, because if you can do something yourself, then your testosterone goes up. But the wiser man says, okay, if I don't have a good answer, I'm now going to do it myself and find somebody who has more experience and learn from them. So that can also be testosterone producing. But at first, you have to kind of explore possibilities of what you can do, and then be, you know, confident enough to look at what you can't do, and then seek out help. But then that seeking out help actually produces testosterone, because you're in charge of finding the right person to get the resources.
Yeah, you are looking for an answer. You're doing that.
You're doing it. You're doing it. I'm picking, I'm doing this, you know, the whole thing. So these are just behaviors. And so for women, if they're experiencing moderate stress, what they will, if they can talk about how they feel, their estrogen levels will go up. And now that's the first thing that happens. Remember I talked about adrenaline. Adrenaline is moderate stress. That's when women need to talk about their feelings. Then what happens is if it's super high stress, then women will detach. Okay, like a man detaches at moderate stress, women detach at big stress. That's why women lose interest in sex with their husbands, is that the stress builds up, the adrenaline is not released. You see, the women have to talk to release the adrenaline. Men have to solve problems to reduce the adrenaline, or detach, one or the other. And because detaching is solving the problem. I'm stressed, I'm going to go do something to feel better. Well, women under moderate stress, they need to feel better by talking. That will help them come back into balance. But if it's big stress, women will tend to detach. And that's where they
basically they're going to cave.
They go into their cave. So big stress women, they go into their cave, they do it themselves. They feel I have to do everything myself. I can't trust him. I can't depend on anybody. I got it. So what they do is they detach. And you know, what can they do? They have to realize they're way out of balance. They're way on their male side. They've got to come back to their female side. And how do they come back to their female side? They find some place where it's safe, someone they can depend on, and not the partner, not their husband. If they're upset with their husband, don't go to him. That's where you go to a coach. That's where you go to a friend who knows how to listen. That's where you go to a counselor who will help you look at your emotions. And
Parents' house.
Back. What is that?
Parents' house.
I couldn't understand.
Coming back to parents.
Oh, coming back to parents. Now, let me talk about parents, okay? If you're married, it's not always good to tell your parents the complaints you have about your partner. Let me just explain that one. That's why, you know, if you're religious, go to your pastor, your father there.
Okay.
If you're religious, write, journal your feelings to God. Talk to a friend. But when you talk to family members, they love you so much. And so when you're complaining about your partner,
they will say you are right. You are right, and it's not.
You are right, and they will never forget that. You see, when you come back into balance by sharing your feelings, you will forget it. It's when you make love, there's no problems anymore. You let it go. It's in the past. It was all an illusion. Oh, that was me when I was being crazy negative. But all they remember is you being crazy negative, and they're going to believe it, and they're always going to be suspicious and worried because they're not in love with your partner like you are. So that's a little danger zone when you start using your family members as a therapist.
Actually, speaking of the parents, if it comes to the influence of our parents on our point of view on our relationship, do you think that's impacting actually the partners we are choosing? Oh,
huge. Oh, yeah, completely. We can go into, that's a big subject as well, which is often women will marry the man who cannot give her the love she needs. Often women fall in love with married men. They feel very attracted to married men, or they feel very attracted to dangerous men, or they feel very attracted to men who they find out are alcoholics. And
why is it so?
Why is it? Because, now this is psychology. I didn't invent this, but I make it simpler. Is when you have a little girl growing up, if her father is absent, okay, or the parents got divorced or whatever, the child feels it's their fault. Always children feel when their parents are misbehaving to them or to each other, the children don't understand that it's not their fault. They come into this world and everybody's happy because they're born, right? So that means you're like everybody's happy because of me. I'm the source of everybody's happy. So when people are unhappy, I must be doing something wrong and I don't know what it is. And that's where all these feelings of inadequacy come from, is to the extent that our parents were happy, we come into this world feeling that we are successful, because we do feel we are responsible as children for what everybody else feels. That's just the way it works. If my wife came home and she was all grumpy and angry, I would immediately know, oh, she must have had a bad day. It's not all about me. But a child doesn't know that. They don't know all the things that can happen in the world that cause people to be upset, whatever. So you end up feeling like something's wrong with me, and every child wants their parents to love them. So how can I change myself to love this person? How can I change this person? Now, women gradually learn that men love sex. So I can be, okay, I'll find a man who reminds me of my father, and how can I get him to love me? Well, I'm going to have sex with him right away. I get all turned on, have excitement with him. And so what happens is that you get all turned on to a guy that you don't even know. And that's usually, not always, the wrong guy, because he's the guy who can't give you what you need, and you're trying to change him by giving him what he wants, as opposed to having a different orientation, which is, this is a guy who gives me what I want. Now, these, you know, you have this pattern. Not all women have this pattern, but you know they have this pattern. If one of your complaints is, you know, I get with these men and they never call back. They never call back. Well, why would you get with a guy? Intuitively, you're picking up the wrong guys, or you're letting them pick you up, whatever it be. Now,
it's like our subconscious trigger, and we want to actually fix the past with the new partner. So we're trying to fix our parents' relationship on our own example.
Yes.
That is really complicated, isn't it?
Now, how do you know to the extent that controls you? For women, it's if you're turned on to people you don't know. The natural development of sexuality in a woman's body is she will first feel an interest. A man will be interesting to her. It's mental. Okay. Then she will feel, it will grow as she gets to know him and like his ideas and feel safe with his ideas, mental connection, interested. Then she will start to feel more affection and warmth when he does things for her. He does nice things for her and she likes him. So she begins to like him. Her heart begins to open. The energy comes down from her mind to her heart. Then it will hit down to the genitals and she will become very excited and turned on to him. And then she will feel in love with him. But if you feel in love with somebody, you want to have sex with them right away, before you even know them, before you have conversations, before they've done things for you, before they pursued you, and you're suddenly wanting to have sex with them, usually that's not a true desire. That's this compensation. And so when women, my message to women is, if you have that pattern, then the other thing that I'm about to say is also true. If you always get turned on to the men who are not available, then the actual man who is available to you will seem boring at first. But he will be a nice guy. So I hear all these stories of women say to me, oh yeah, these guys are interested in me, but they're these nice guys, they have good job, you know, but I'm just not turned on to them at all. I go, that's your problem. That's your problem. You need to continue being with that guy and trying out these new techniques that I have, which is, you know, changing your whole behavior around sharing more emotion, sharing more feelings. You know, that's the whole book, Beyond Mars and Venus. Come back to your female side, because you're too far on your male side trying to please some man rather than having a man please you, which is going back to your female side. So because of this gender imbalance that's happening in our culture, what we have is women on their male side pursuing men. And if you pursue a man, he will lose interest in you. Because he will become too far on his female side. He'll just want to play. He doesn't maintain that noble commitment to be there till death. You know, I'm going to be there. I'll serve you. I love you. I have an erection every day for you. I want to have sex. All that good stuff is gone. He's just this guy. I'm on my porn. I'm doing my porn. I'm doing what makes me happy. I want to be with her. He's lusting after every woman with a short skirt. This is, you know, men say to me, oh, you know, I don't want to be in a monogamous relationship. I don't want to lose my freedom. I say, you've never had great sex. If you have great sex with somebody, which means you're making love, okay, the sex makes more love. If you have that, a woman loving you and sex, you're totally free. Then I don't need any of these women. I don't lust after these women. They're pretty like art is pretty, but there's no part of me that goes, oh, I want that, or I want that, I want that. It's kind of like, you know, I used to lust after a house, you know, a nice house. And then finally I found my house. It's everything I want. Yeah. I see big fancy houses and everything. I have no lust after, that's a nice house.
That's a real freedom, because we are not distracted by everything around. You know, we are not running like a small dog when it sees a piece of sausage, isn't it?
Yes, I like that. A small dog ready for a piece of sausage. That's a great one.
everything we do and our evolution, it all comes to the energy. So you believe that energy is the very basic source of our thoughts and our life.
Well, that would be one way. As I mentioned before, it's actually energy at a higher frequency is light. It's all light and all darkness, and the light moves into the darkness. So you cannot move more light into our life unless you feel the darkness. So, you know, it's my grounding in psychology that helped me grow so much, and the awareness that people have today of feelings and emotions. And part of the old traditional spiritual paths were denial of emotions. You know, you would love God and so forth. That's good. That's a good thing. You have some love in your life, but you continue to deny what you feel now. And when you deny what you feel, more energy can't come in. When you deny what your wishes and wants are, more energy can't come in. But when you feel what you want, okay, more energy comes. When more energy comes into your life, if you don't know how to process that energy, then it will bump up against your limited beliefs. Always when people go to a higher frequency, stuff comes up. Those are the opportunity to process it. So let me give you an example of it. Democracy. We suddenly in the world, you know, it's a big change. This democracy and encouragement of people, we're all equal. We can all have more, want more, want more. As soon as you say, I want more, then when you don't get more, because you haven't learned how to get more, then you feel disappointed, you feel hurt, you feel sad, unrealistic expectations. Now you throw internet into all of that, where you see social media, where it looks like everybody's happy and nobody has problems and they're all on vacation and families are all getting together. It's all fake. Yes, we all have those positive experiences, but we also have the other side of life. You know, like right now, you know, I'm an ecstatic meditator. I meditate 6 hours a day, you know, have great sex, all these things. But, you know, I'm also at the same time recovering from my wife's death. My wife died of 34 years of a great marriage with great sex, to lose that connection with her. Every day I've got a picture of her. I burn candles. I got flowers. I got crystals. I mourn for her. I miss her deeply, deeply. I've never felt so much deep grief inside of me to lose my wife. But once I go through it, then I'm back to more happiness than ever before. Not happy she died, but happy, you know, happiness is a natural state. But when we're grieving, the brain is still attached to wanting them to be here. I can't want her to be here. I can remember her in my life. And I had to let go of that, you know, that attachment. I have to be in present time. So the whole thing is we have to keep letting go of what is no longer available to us, but we hold it in our heart if it's something special. So right now it looks like I'm just all happy all the time. Well, it wasn't every day, you know, there'll be some time where tears will flow. But after about a year and 34 days, now it's been mourning every day, knowing how to do this. And that's a science in itself, is how to process pain.
Exactly.
See, pain is always when we're off track. The universe gives us this wonderful, our biology does. When we're in touch with the big T truth, most of the time we feel pleasure and love, okay? Most of the time. But when we're feeling lack of love and we're feeling pain, that means we're off track. And the more we don't listen to the lack of the pain in our body, the pain in our heart, the pain in our mind, the limited beliefs we have, the criticism, the negativity, if we don't process that, it gets into our body, we feel pain. And it will get more and more until we listen and we adjust our thinking, we adjust our feelings, we adjust our behavior. It's really pain that motivates us. And when I look at the pain of losing my wife,
actually the pain is soil for growth.
Always.
Yeah,
you know,
without the pain, you cannot grow in your life.
And without the darkness, you can't bring in the light. It's bringing in the light that feels so great, you know, so you got to dig deeper. And I don't have to dig deeper to find it. Life gives me opportunities to dig deeper and find it. You know, people look at my success, they go, oh, he's so lucky. My wife said, I'm the luckiest man she ever met. But I look at my life, I'm so lucky, I get everything I want, but I also have one string of tragedies after another, after another, after another. I've been sued for $10 million. I've been sued for $3 million. I had fraud for $2 million. I have all this stuff going on. You know, when you're sunshine, when you have the lights on at home, the mosquitoes come after you. You know, that's what it's about. I can't control others, but I certainly can control how I respond to life. But I can't also control my reactions. They get smaller and smaller. I don't respond based. I don't let my reactions control me, but they are automatic. It's like if you punch my arm, I will bruise. That's an automatic reaction.
Yes, of course.
You know, I can heal that. I can heal that, and that's called getting back in track. Getting back on track. So if something knocks me over emotionally, you know, I've been through the mill. Bonnie and I've been married 34 years. We probably went to 24 funerals of people who died in terrible ways in our family and so forth. So I'm expert at grieving. But I tell you, when you lose a wife of 34 years of a great relationship, so much deep, deep love and attachment, and sharing a life together, that puts up for me bigger than anything I've ever experienced. And you know, it's life. For those of us that choose to think big, 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 that means we have to overcome big, big resistance. And as we do it, in some maybe big way or little way, we're helping everybody else do it.
So do you think, because actually, if you look at the past of the psychology, usually the schools are telling us that we should release the bad emotions, we should scream, we should hit a pillow. So what's your point of view on that? How we should work with the bad emotions?
I love that question. Okay, so, you know, I came from 9 years, back in my 20s, 9 years, as a teenager, I'm a very sexual guy. I think sex is a supreme love, okay? So I'm all about great, great sex for hours of fantastic sex and communion and love. Sex by itself is a waste of energy. But when you use sex to make love, it's more powerful in my experience than anything else. That's why you'll see all the ancient gods are all having sex, okay? Yes. It's just like, it's the union of the masculine and feminine, which is what my work is. It's the modern Taoism of the union of the male and female sides inside of us to embrace both sides of who we are. But back to your question, I forgot what it was. I went into the supreme.
It's about the psychology. So
the psychology.
Psychology told us to release all of the bad emotions. So we should actually react with them in some way. We should just get them out. So what's your point?
Well, here's what it is. First of all, you never get them out. What you do is you get you in. Their darkness, you bring light in. But there is an exchange of energy that happens, and energy does flow out of you if somebody listens to you. And they help you to bring your light in. You know, if I was to become naked in front of a group of people, suddenly I would see myself, it'd be a lot more energy right here. It's ironic. This is the human part of us, right? This is the part where the DNA, the only part where we got human DNA is right in the front. And if you were to do something embarrassing, which is to reveal something you don't normally reveal, you're embarrassed. Blood flows right here. As you can see it so clearly. Now, emotions, the power of looking at our emotions, there's many reasons why it's so important. But looking at them is different from spraying them at people and expressing them without someone hearing us and understanding us. It's the hearing and understanding of where we're coming from when we're feeling those emotions that helps us to hear ourselves and understand ourselves better in order to say, no need to carry that around anymore. But just being able to express emotion by itself is actually can be counterproductive. And I'll talk about this, which back when I would have been a celibate monk, and by celibate monk, I mean really celibate. I never masturbated, never ejaculated.
I was actually about to ask about the story with Maharishi Yogi, because what is really interesting, I believe that everything is connected. So the universe caused us together to chat. And look at this. That's a book which I bought ages ago. He's
like my dad.
Yeah, I've bought it, like, to be honest, 15 years ago, and I went through it because basically my story with biohacking started from spirituality. So that was one of the first books I had. So when I've checked actually what you've been doing in your life, and I've noticed that you've been a monk and you were working for 9 years with Maharishi, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. I just couldn't imagine you as that person. So I was about to ask you, how did that happen actually?
All right, well, before I answer your second question, I got to answer the first about emotions.
Sorry,
then I'll get right to it, okay? So here I was in this meditation thing. I used to meditate 18 hours a day towards the last years. I went into retreat with Maharishi, and he didn't come out in the world. I used to travel with him and everything. Then he stopped traveling, so I started meditating longer and got these beautiful, beautiful experiences, we'll put it that. And then it was time for me to come out into the world. Now, the reason I did, part of that story, just people wonder, is I was very happy. My picture was in 3,600 TM centers because they did brain studies on my brain, and they showed me levitating, bouncing is what we were doing. So that was all sort of a celebrity in the TM movement. And then I left. But why did I leave? Because my brother, Jimmy, my little brother, Jimmy, at the time, he was bipolar. And meditation, I brought him to Europe with us and with the Maharishi, and meditation didn't cure bipolar. It helped a little. And I couldn't bear to be so happy and full when my brother was bipolar. He eventually did kill himself. He shot himself. But I tried, and so I went to California to study psychology to see if I could help him. And psychology didn't help him either. It wasn't until later that I learned biohacking, and I could have saved his life if I learned biohacking. But I didn't know it then. I know it now, and I've helped many bipolar people dramatically to get off of the drugs and take the supplements that restore balance in the brain. In most cases, they're just born with greater genius ability and didn't get the nutrition they needed, or they were traumatized in some way. So some psychology can help, but they got to get the extra nutrition. If you're a Ferrari, you can't use cheap gas.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And you'll also see that most of the geniuses in history were bipolar. They just happened to get the right support to go through it, and then they eventually kill themselves or something. But they just have more potency in their brain because they got the juice. But you don't know how to process these emotions, and also you need to have fuel. There's extra fuel you need. We might discuss that if you have higher consciousness. But anyway, coming back to expressing emotion. I wrote a whole book on this and everything, lots of books on healing emotions. But here I am, after being all these years as a meditator, we didn't express emotion. We just went higher and higher and higher. It was like we went, it was called transcendental meditation. Go beyond your emotions. In a sense, we brought the energy into the crown chakra. Okay, but then once I was there, I'm one with God. I'm walking around, all women are goddesses, and it's beautiful. I had to bring the energy down. That's what really we're about today, is integrating the divine energy. Once you feel it, bring it in to your life. And so that brought about the awareness of emotion. So I went through, maybe for many years, a dark night of the soul. People talk about that in poetry and so forth, because what happens is when you find the light, it wants to go into the deepest areas of darkness inside. And that's where our confusion is, our insecurities are, our fears are. And that's a big story. I got lots of stories how I went through the dark night of the soul beautifully and learned how to process emotions. So my second seminar I started teaching back then was Healing the Heart. And in these seminars is all about people learning to feel emotions and express emotions because they would feel better. Well, I had some people in my classes who at the time were doing primal scream. Now, primal scream is the extreme version of just get it out, yell and scream and get it out and cry, whatever, and feel guilty. And I noticed these people had the worst problems in their marriages, just terrible. And I thought getting emotions out was the salvation of everything, because for me it was feeling so good. Well, it turns out that just feeling and expressing emotion can sometimes, to a small extent, can help you notice I've got these emotions inside. I generate these emotions inside. But then the key to it is not to yell it out, but to gently talk about it and feel it. Feel the emotion. You don't have to yell anger to be angry. You don't have to, weep and cry in order to be sad. You may do that if it's natural. But you pump it up just a little bit to say, oh, I'm doing it. And then come back to, okay, what am I feeling? And what story am I telling myself to feel that? And then as you
looking for the cause. But do you think, is it important actually who we are talking to?
It also is important who we're talking to. If we express emotion to somebody who's not listening, not feeling compassion, it doesn't heal. It just gets worse. Or if we express emotion, which is pain, it's always emotion. Negative emotion is how we experience pain. The body has physical pain. The mind has torment. Emotion is the connection of the mind, the non-physical, and the physical. It says that we're not aligned with our inner truth at that moment. So when you feel that pain and you share it with somebody who doesn't feel sorry for you, that's a more advanced kind of listening. One is to empathize with someone. They can feel their emotion better, but it's still hard for them to let go of their emotion if the person who's listening is feeling bad for you, feeling sorry for you. So that's compassion. So I distinguish between the empathy, which is good, nice to have empathy, to feel you're not alone. That's, again, a step. I'm not alone. Other people experience what I experience. That's a little bit of oneness. But people then will tend to project onto that person, poor them, they're never going to get it better, their life is ruined now.
They're actually making them weaker, isn't it?
Yes. So you reinforce a pattern of victim rather than winner. And so you have to hold the space when you listen to somebody, feel what they feel, and trust, based upon your own experience, that every time you've gone through something like this, your life became richer and better, and life was more wonderful, and you'll learn a lesson as well that will change your life. You know, that's the whole idea of this, is evolutionary movement, progression, development. But some people, they just go over it and over it and over it, and it just becomes a loop. For example, my grieving of my wife, you know, if I only grieved all the time, I would create a loop in the brain, because grieving produces dopamine just like great sex does. Okay, this is proven. You can become addicted to grieving if you're a good griever, crying and drama, you know, and all this stuff. And I do have a very dramatic part of me. That's my positive side, is the passion you feel inside of me now. I'm talking to all these cool biohackers, you know. As I said at the conference, I said, this is my tribe, you know, this is my people. You know, we're looking for more is possible.
You actually received the standing ovation.
Oh yeah, people loved it. Oh,
that was amazing.
Best talk ever.
That was really
I think part of my talks is I am what I talk about. You know, I embody it. Everything I say is from my own experience and my own feelings and my own transformation. My life story is all I teach, is because I'm a prime human, as you say it. You know, this is my thing, which is personal growth and development and biohacking and development, all these things, and spiritual growth, enlightenment. I think the awakening of the whole planet since we got into rock and roll was rock and roll. And the best part of it in terms of balancing gender was the Beatles. All the women screaming at the Beatles. Here were these guys who were in harmony. 4 guys singing, which is expressing like angels, their love songs, Hold My Hand, all this innocent love, harmony, standing out there, so sweet as can be. When the truth that John Lennon was a real bruiser. I mean, he's a tough guy. You know, these guys were not so sweet and nice and everything. They have another side to them. But so they had this very masculine side. You know, George had this very spiritual side, but he's also a very committed side. So they had a lot of these energies combined together. And then they had a gay director who made them look all cute for the girls, you know, the cute little hair. They looked so proper and nice. And the reason they broke up is they couldn't hold on to that image. Okay, the Rolling Stones were the opposite image, and they could hold on to it because they're bad boys who sing love songs, you know, who sing in harmony.
But do you think that the image of a man is changing over time? So, for example, man from 1920s was completely different than a man right now.
Well, see, that's my whole work, and I'll point out that there's a lot to say about that we won't have time for, but I do expand it in my book, Beyond Mars and Venus, which is we've all changed a lot since I wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And what that means is as we grow in higher consciousness, what happens is I have greater access to my feminine potential and my masculine potential of both sides, the yin and the yang. And holding those two together is our challenge now. So when the Beatles came about, I can only talk from my own experience, but that's when I suddenly wanted to grow my hair out. I wanted to wear beads. I wanted to wear boots. I wanted to meditate. I demonstrated for peace, for Vietnam. I wouldn't do the draft, all that stuff. You know, I'm the opposite of my brothers, okay? So I'm in a new generation of guys who are more in touch with their female side. And that's what happened, a big awakening. Because when a man becomes aware of spirituality, now he has access to his whole self. So if most of his life he's over on his male side, and his conditioning is all on his male side from generations back, because he's a man and that's how culture did us, he's going to naturally, easily swing to the female side. It feels so good. And
it's going to be something completely new and interesting, isn't it?
Yes, new and interesting. And it's inside. It pulls you. It's like falling over into that. And when you're falling over into it, you're experiencing a moment in between of ecstasy. That's the flow. That's where your male and female is alive together. Then what happens is it feels so good to go from here over to there, is that now we have channels in our brain develop, pathways to push us over there, because that feels so good to find the wholeness by going there. And
so in general, right now, men have a tendency to go to their female side and stay
too much
because it feels so good.
Yes, it too much.
Does it affect the
Let me give you an example. Let me give an example, because these are abstract ideas. But you see, if a guy's sitting there playing his video games, he's on his female side. When a guy's watching sports, he's on his female side. If he's actually doing sports, he's on his male side. But while you're just watching it, you're doing nothing. Doing is our male side, and a female side is enjoying. Whenever you do something you like and you enjoy. Internet porn, for example, is total female side. Guys are so addicted to it. It's amazing, you know, and the problem is the male side is where you get the hard erections that can last a long time. Okay, this is like the masculinity, and then it becomes so feminized. You know, women need. Can I talk about sex?
Yes, of course you can.
You know, my whole thing is,
there is no limitations down here.
A woman needs a hard erection for 30 minutes to take her to levels of orgasm that she's never even imagined exist inside of her. There's points that open up inside of her vagina that just go to higher levels of ecstasy and consciousness, and takes him to he's one with the whole universe, holding her as she's out of her mind. And when a woman goes out of her mind, what happens is then she can have unbelievable spiritual experiences. Oh, it's amazing what happens for women, because they're so connected. They're the source of life. The feminine gives birth to life. They just get so caught up in the mind. Sex allows women, if they have many, many orgasms, because a man can penetrate her for quite a while, what will happen is she'll go to higher and higher levels. And, you know, this is all documented in Taoism. And so in Taoism, they talk about this. You know, they didn't have TV, they didn't have videos, and they didn't have internet. You know, life was so slow. They didn't have cars, little villages. So what did they do at night? They figured out sex, you know. Yes. They had the best sex you could imagine. Now most people in China are very unaware of this now. It's a very sort of hidden knowledge. One good resource for people that kind of awakened me to this, and then I went to China to study it myself, was Stephen Chang has written a book in English. He's a Taoist master in English, Dr. Stephen Chang, and he wrote a book called The Tao, T-A-O, of Sexology. The Tao of Sexology. Very, very good. You know, I feel like I have updated it, but I haven't written that book yet. Then there's Mantak Chia has written several books, The Multi-Orgasmic Man. That will help to convince men and give some tips maybe that will work for some men on the importance of sustaining, retaining your semen. All my success.
You mentioned that on your speech you have given on the Health Optimization Summit, that actually if men can stand 6 days without ejaculation, on the 7th day his testosterone levels are doubling.
The Japanese did that test. The Japanese have done several tests showing, and that's such an important thing. If you don't learn how to have orgasm without ejaculating. I don't ever ejaculate. Okay, so I learned that being a monk, and then I started ejaculating, making babies and whatever. But then I came back to learning how to orgasm without ejaculating. I was teaching this back in 1980, and then the Tantra classes, you know, it was the Tantra class back before it all became the rage. And now everybody talks about Tantra, and they have all these Tantra techniques, but men are still ejaculating, and women are still wanting men to ejaculate. The whole point of it is you've got all these wonderful personal growth techniques around sex and loving so that the woman can be multi-orgasmic and the man can experience in her vagina, not just on the clitoris. You know, this all this vibrator stuff on the clitoris, that's just like wasting energy for women. You know, porn is wasting energy for men, and clitoris stimulation with a vibrator and orgasms, because women can't have orgasm from clitoris. What that does, according to Dr. Chang, according to the Taoist philosophy, is, you remember my big joke on this, I'm not going to say it here, but what he pointed out, that it overstimulates the kidneys if the kidney point is the clitoris. So if everything is orgasms on the clitoris, you're overstimulating the kidneys, and that interferes with the kidneys, is also where your adrenals are affected by that. That's going to cause hormonal imbalance, which we see with women today, and it causes fluid retention. And many women are trying to lose weight. They're all trying to, get that weight. They do these amazing starvation diets, but they keep holding on to the water. And when that's the case, it can be overstimulation of the clitoris, just not having sexual education of all the points.
Is that theory connected to the meridian system?
Yes, that's all the meridian system. Yeah, the points of the penis go to different organs of the body. The points of the vagina go to different organs of the body. And, some women say, well, if I'm doing a dildo, am I getting all the points? I go, no, it takes a penis. You need to have the penis. It's the energy, it's the yang energy going into you. And maybe when it's two women, maybe certainly the fingers have good energy. And maybe they don't need that much yang energy. But a heterosexual woman, she needs the yang energy to go to higher and higher levels. And yang energy is where you're not attached to the outcome at all. You're just a servant. You're just providing the fulfillment. And the first step to even get to the higher levels of masculine power is to give up addiction. That's me. That's greed. I want it. And ejaculation is the ultimate addiction. Yeah, it's selflessness. Masculinity is selfless. Femininity is receptivity, which then gives back love. So love, the loving part of us. Oh, I love doing this. I love this. That's pure feminine energy. And that's a love that comes from receiving. So that's the vagina, which is the receptive energy. And the masculine is the penetrating energy, the providing energy, and has to learn. And Dr. Chang has some good techniques in there on how to have long, many levels of orgasm, to identify them and so forth. And it's a new knowledge, okay? And we shouldn't beat ourselves up or anything. We're not there. We haven't been taught how to be there. This is new stuff. Men have to learn how to balance the feminine.
If you look at our civilization, actually, when anyone talks about the sex, people are reacting with laugh. Did you notice that tendency? Is that exactly the same in the Western culture? When someone is actually saying anything about the sex, people are reacting with laugh, or they are actually treating the matter seriously?
What happens is it's a very nervous subject, something we don't talk about. The laughter is a nervousness because we all have confusion around sexuality. Okay, sex. First of all, just even talking with your partner in sex is a bit of a taboo for people, because if my wife was to say to me, oh, not there, here, then I'm so vulnerable at that moment where every cell in my body is wanting to do it right and to please her. And if she corrects me, it feels like, I did it wrong. And that can push all of our deepest feelings of inadequacy. And everybody's got deeper feelings of inadequacy. Oh my God, I am so on top of the world, at the top of the pyramid. I got so much of everything in my life, achieved I have a great life, But when my wife died, I'd say, I'm still letting go of the feeling of failure. I couldn't save her. The guilt, that I wasn't perfect, so guilt I went through the same thing with my little brother when he committed suicide. The guilt that, if I'd only done this, I'd done that. I wish I could have done this. If I only known this, that's feeling of inadequacy. I should have been better. As opposed to, well, of course I should have been better. We all need to be better, and so learn from your mistakes and feel good about yourself because you're learning from your mistakes as opposed to just repeating your mistakes. And if you're repeating them, feel good about it, because at least now you know you're repeating it, and that's stupid to do. So move on.
if it comes actually to that astrological, esoteric Mars-Venus idea, where did you get that from? Because
Well,
it's
it is from the
like
astrological
an interesting story. You're like reading the book, and that's a story for you. That Mars-Venus part, that men are traveling from Mars to Venus for when. Where did you get that from?
Well, I just made it up. But I'll tell you that here's where all Mars Venus came from. So I was teaching for about 3 years the differences between men and women. Men and women are different. I called it men, women, and relationships. And people loved it, and some people hated it. Some people got angry at me. They put up signs. They yelled at me in the middle of my classes. Very disruptive. But most everybody who came loved it. You know, it was funny, it's entertaining, but some people just didn't like it. So I kept thinking, how can I make this so it's not so scary to some people? Because for some women and some men, it's like I'm saying they're wrong, or I'm saying that men should be more like, I'm not saying men should be more like women, which is what everybody's trying to do at that time. They're still trying to do it, making men the bad guys. I'm like making everybody good, you know? We all just don't know what we're doing, how to do it better. So I thought I need to find a way to say this so people can laugh about it and
in a soft way.
And so I was given a talk. I just seen the movie, if people can remember back, E.T. E.T.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, so I just seen that movie. Oh, you cry in the movie, E.T. called phone home, phone home. Oh my God. So everybody's thinking about that. And at the same time, I was also taking a course in astrology with my wife, where we were acting out the qualities of different planets. And, you know, I'm very open to astrology. My mother was an astrologer, one of the things she did. And so Bonnie was Venus and I was Mars, and we were acting out these things. And I kind of was thinking in the back of my mind, you know, differences, different planets, maybe there's something to this. And then I forgot it. I was given a talk the next day, and I was going to use an example from the E.T. movie. And I said, you know, the movie E.T., you know, the mother wanted to feed E.T. and he was eating the candies, which are not good for her children, but it was just what he needed. So, you know, we don't know what people need. We have to find out what they need first before we can give them what they need. We need to find out from them what they need. So that was my point. But I didn't ever finish the point. I was saying to this group, mostly women, and I said, you just have to imagine your husband's E.T. How are you going to know what to give him? And at that point, they all laughed. The whole room laughed. Imagine your husband's an E.T. They all laughed. And then some woman sounded like she was drunk. She said, well, what was it? Well, where's my husband from? And I said, Mars. And they laughed again.
Yeah, and it clicked.
Hairs on my arm. They went up. Yeah, they're going up right now, too. Just like, I went, wow, I found it. I found it. That's it. Men are from Mars. Oh, the women loved it. They loved it. And then I thought later, I had to think later, now, what planet would women want to be from? And, of course, it was Venus, because Venus is linked to love and beauty and grace and charm. Even though the planet's not that, but in astrology, it's the planet of love. So then I thought, okay, I need to tell a little story first. So I'm not just going right into men and women are different. So then I made up that story to be playful about it.
Because I was reading it and I was like, that idea is genius.
Thank you.
It shows you in a so simple way the differences, and it's so nice and soft. And what I like about the book is basically that you are not trying or forcing us to change.
Right.
You are just explaining the way we are. And you don't want to change the women. You are just explaining how we should communicate.
Exactly.
So that is really nice, because if you look at the self-help books, usually they're like pointing that it's all your fault, you need to change. And this book is like completely different.
You know, here's an interesting concept, what you just said. And in my experience, there's two things that we're looking for in personal growth and evolution. One is we need to experience a transformation in the way we see the world. Now, that doesn't require change. It's just I see the world differently. Like if I was to put on red glasses, now the world looks red. Okay? If somebody was pointing out to me something I didn't see before. So I'm giving examples and people go, yeah, that's what my husband does. Yeah, that's what my wife does. But a different story that feels better to interpret. So our interpretation, the transformation can actually happen in an instant.
Yes, of course.
Change, once you have a transformation, now you have the basis for gradually making a change. And I give little hints of ways you can change, but I'm not trying to tell people to change. I don't tell people don't get angry. I'm telling men that if you're getting angry and you talk, you're going to get more angry, and she's going to become more afraid of you and lose interest in sex. So what else can you do? Yes, and guys go, what do I do? I say, well, first of all, if you talk, you get angry. So what's the next logical thing to do? Stop talking. Did I explain? Well, why did you get upset in the first place? Low testosterone. Oh, so maybe you need to make some testosterone. How do you do that? Well, there's 50 ways to do that. There's not just one way. You've got your way. What are some of the ways that make you feel good? So it's not predicted. It's just understanding. Because when you have understanding, you have real you just see the world differently. And then you can make positive changes in your life. Because change in your behavior, change in your thinking, change in the way you interact makes all the difference in terms of the results we get in our life. But predicting, telling people to change is old school. That's just New Year's resolutions that you feel disappointed you never change.
And it puts you like straight away into the defense mode. So we are very often doing completely opposite things.
Yes, we do opposite things. That's the human nature, monkeys.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Someone tells you shouldn't do that, and you are like, just watch me.
Yeah.
You're doing exactly the thing. Yeah.
I love what you're saying.